What do we got here? Well, g'day everybody and welcome back. So that was Thursday afternoon. I was riding home from work, happened to be filming the new trailer for my Patreon page, and that greeted me at the front door. So that was a nice, pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting it that quickly. But this is the new fuel tank for basket case. It is a standard XS1100 classic fuel tank. The fuel tank that came with basket case originally was the teardrop shaped one, and I bought a second-hand classic fuel tank for it and modified it to the way it looks now. For the uninitiated, the Australian tank was 4 litres larger in capacity than the US versions. I don't know what the European ones were, but the Australian ones are 24 litres, the American ones were 20 litres. Back in the 70s and the 80s in Australia, there was a lot of towns where you had hundreds of kilometres to get from town to town where there were service stations available to purchase fuel. And a lot of those operated 5 days a week, 9 to 5. So if you arrived outside of those times, you're out of luck. So we needed good sized fuel tanks. So this tank is in really healthy condition. It looks rougher than a barbed wire bathtub at the moment, but there's no rust in it. It's a little couple of bits of surface rust, but there's no significant issues in terms of rust. There is a couple of dents, one on this corner here at the front and one on a little bit bigger one on this other side. But other than that, the tank's complete. Taps, fuel sender, cap, the whole lot. The paintwork is the only real problem with it, and that doesn't bother me one iota because we're going to repaint this. So we'll make the same or similar modifications to this tank as what we did to the other tank. And the reason we're doing this, if you're just joining us or just catching up, is because on the other tank, the one that's currently on basket case, we cut the filler neck out, the whole recess, chopped it out, and welded a panel in here and relocated or welded a piece of tube into the tank to accommodate the flipped top Monza style fuel cap. I want to do a similar modification to this tank, but on the old tank there must have been a little bit of porosity in the weld, and it allowed vapor fumes from the fuel to escape and leach in underneath the paintwork and lift the paint, and it's really quite bad now. Started as a little blister. With the benefit of 2020 hindsight, had I just put a tank liner, reapplied the tank liner and concentrated it in the top of the tank, we could have maybe avoided all of this. But 2020 hindsight's a wonderful thing. It did deteriorate rather quickly once I started to notice it was blistering, and now it's split and is horrible, and we're going to need to do a decent repair on it. But my grand plan at this stage is to modify this fuel tank, and I'm also going to make a fiberglass mould of the seat cowl that I made for basket case. Now, back when I made that seat, I didn't have this YouTube channel. I started that very shortly after I made that seat. But the manufacturing process for that was to get some closed cell styrene foam, glue some panels together, rough out a shape that I thought I'd be happy with, and then start cutting and shaping and sanding and producing a buck that I could cast or I could use to fiberglass over. Once I'd created the foam buck, I then put a little bit of 1/4 inch rubber tube to create a bead, and I then covered the whole thing in painter's tape, waxed it all down, fiberglassed over it, and then dug the foam out once the fiberglass had cured. And that's how I made the seat. What I want to do now, though, is I want to keep that seat, and I want to keep that other tank, and I'm going to, as I said, make a fiberglass mould of the existing seat, so I can cast another seat, and I know that it's going to fit the bike perfectly. So I'll make another seat, and that way I'll have a new tank and a new seat. I'll put a different colour scheme on it. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm not the greatest visionary in terms of artistic design with paintwork, and I'll need to probably do a bit of consultating with some friends and family. My brother's a very talented tattoo artist and airbrush artist. The tank won't be going to him because he's thousands of kilometres away, but I may ask him for some advice. You're on notice, Damo. So, and then I'll have to do something with the front guard as well. I'm not quite sure what I'll do there yet. I may try and find another guard, or I may make something in-house. Not sure yet which way I'm going to go. I'm sort of making this up as I go, and you're going to get to join me as I do it. So yes, that was what the postman brought. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.